Today on DC News Now, the temperature is rising after a cold start to the day. How warm is it going to get? And we're tracking some rain.
Firefighters have successfully put out a warehouse fire here in Sterling. Now the cleanup for this business begins.
Mystics versus Fever tickets are on sale, but you could see a price hike. We're breaking down the Caitlin Clark effect in the district.
Placing blame for the bridge collapse, why Baltimore leaders say negligence played a key role in the tragedy.
And price check on your favorites at the grocery store. The saving strategies that'll stretch your dollar.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Mark Hall. Meteorologist Scott Sumner is in for Damon Matson this afternoon. He joins us with the latest check in the forecast. Scott, it looks like today's a repeat of yesterday.
Pretty much there, Mark. We started off cool yesterday. We warmed up in the afternoon. We're doing the same today. As a matter of fact, we're going to be a little milder than we had yesterday and just a little less of a breeze out there as well. Our current live rooftop camera shows again the Washington Monument, a current temperature of 67 degrees. It says partly cloudy out there, but as I look outside the weather window here, it doesn't look, off of Wisconsin Avenue, it doesn't look too bad on this side of things. So we're going to be looking at temperatures here climbing throughout the 60s here in the district, getting up into the lower 70s around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then once the sun sets, we're going right back down into the 60s and eventually by the midnight hour into the 50s, upper 50s at this point in time. Satellite and radar shows again, we do have clear skies pretty much up and down the eastern seaboard. This was just a couple of hours ago. Let's put this into motion here and you'll see quite nicely taking it up to the current time frame. Yes, there are some clouds out here to the west in Ohio and Pennsylvania, just getting into Pittsburgh. Those clouds will eventually work their way into the region here over the afternoon hours and into the evening hours. And so, too, will follow some rain showers. Up in Fairmont today, 67 degrees at 1 p.m., 70 by 3 and 71 by 5 p.m. And here's a look at the weather headlines we've got today. A few showers overnight into Wednesday morning. Wednesday is certainly not a washout. Cool and breezy on Thursday and a weekend warm-up I think you may like. Mark?
All right, Scott, thank you. A scary moment for this morning for students in several Maryland schools. There were bomb threats were called into schools in Montgomery and Anne Arundel counties. At least 6 schools, from elementary schools to high schools, had calls for a bomb threat. And that includes Wooten High School. It comes days after a student was arrested for allegedly plotting a school shooting. Law enforcement tells DC News Now that all schools' shelter in place have been lifted. The threats were determined to be not credible. New this afternoon, DC Fire and EMS put out this large fire in Northeast, and officials say the crews received the call around 1:30 this morning for this house on 48th Street. You can see how big the fire was when they arrived. It knocked down some power lines. Officials say that no one was inside the home at the time, though someone in a neighboring home was evacuated. No word on if anyone was displaced or the cause of the fire. Developing now, firefighters are still cleaning up what is left after a warehouse fire that could be seen for miles in Sterling, Virginia yesterday afternoon. The fire was so intense that additional firefighters were called in to help out. And DC News Now's Liberty Zabala has the latest.
And firefighters have been able to clear the scene. They've been able to put out the hot spots at this warehouse behind me, and we're getting a better picture of the damage left. All we're seeing is just scraps of burnt metal here. Firefighters say the fire was so intense because of roofing material inside the warehouse that was extremely flammable. Cell phone video shows billowing black smoke coming from the Prospect Waterroofing Company that could be seen for miles. The Loudoun County Fire Department rushed to the scene on Acacia Lane just after 3 p.m. yesterday. The fire grew so large and fast that a second alarm was called to dispatch more firefighters to battle the flames. One firefighter suffered minor burn injuries. Virginia State Police troopers also had to evacuate businesses and other warehouses nearby. It took firefighters more than 2.5 hours to get the fire under control. Firefighters say the highly flammable roofing materials inside made the firefight even more challenging.
Roofing materials, primarily asphalt, tar, things like that. Those are hydrocarbons, very petroleum based, so it's very common to see large dark columns of very thick smoke when those type of products are burning.
And employees here who did not wish to go on camera did say that about 50 of them had to be evacuated because of the fire. Meanwhile, the Loudoun County Fire Department's Fire Marshal's office is investigating the cause. For now, in Sterling, Liberty Zabala, DC News Now.
Liberty, thank you. 3 people are without a place to live after a fire tore through their home in Prince George's County. Fire and EMS officials say that the fire also killed their cat. It happened at a home on Walker Mill Road in Capitol Heights just before midnight. The fire has been put out. Firefighters still looking for hot spots, and the county's Office of Emergency Management is helping the 3 people displaced by the fire. Well, happening today, the D.C. Council is holding a committee of the whole meeting, and council members are looking to introduce a new bill working to address discrimination in housing. If it becomes law, the bill would allow homeowners to record amendments eliminating discriminatory restrictions. While any restrictions are currently unenforceable, they can still appear on property records, and it would also allow a governing body to make these amendments without holding a vote. Supporters of the bill believe that it creates uniformity and clear guidance to recording offices. Well, tomorrow, dozens of people are expected in the district for the Free Her March on Washington, dedicated to incarcerated women across the country. Well, the march is hosted by the National Council for Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. The goal is to raise awareness about the challenges faced by incarcerated women, advocate for clemency, and also a push to redirect resources into communities to help keep women from being incarcerated. Organizers say that they're hoping by showing up in numbers, the Biden administration and other leaders will listen and bring change for incarcerated women.
To come and stand in solidarity with one another, and more importantly, to stand in solidarity with the women that are still in cages, and be able to let our voices be heard. We are still actively seeking his administration to grant pardons and clemencies to the over 150,000 women that are currently incarcerated on the federal level.
Well, the march will be held at Freedom Plaza from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and you can visit our website, dcnewsnow.com, for more information. Well, Baltimore City leaders are taking the owner and manager of the ship that crashed into the Key Bridge last month to court. DC News Now's Yamarisa Say has the details.
Yeah, so according to the Associated Press, it was actually filed by the Baltimore mayor and the city council. And to sum it all up, they want the owner and manager of this cargo ship to be fully liable for the Key Bridge collapse, but there could be some issues along the way.
Just a month ago, the Baltimore Bridge went down when the Dali cargo ship crashed into it, which killed 6 construction workers and caused a lot of damage at the Patapsco River and also left a huge impact on the Port of Baltimore. Now, Baltimore leaders are accusing the cargo ship owner, manager, and even the crew for negligence. They say the Singapore-based company and their crew should have known whether the Dali cargo ship was in good shape to travel before trying to leave Baltimore. But there could be something that may get in the way. Just days after the crash, the cargo ship company actually filed a petition for limited liability for the collapse. They're asking for a cap of $43.6 million. Now, ultimately, the decision of how much the company could owe will be in the hands of the Maryland Federal Court. But this could be one of the most expensive disasters in history. In the court documents filed by the Baltimore mayor and city council, their attorneys wrote, petitioners' negligence caused them to destroy the Key Bridge and single-handedly shut down the Port of Baltimore, a source of jobs, municipal revenue, and no small amount of pride for the city of Baltimore and its residents.
So the families of the crew members that died in this tragic accident are also looking into holding the cargo ship company responsible. Now, as for the status of when the bridge will reopen, it's going to take several months as crews continue to clean up, but they have opened up 3 temporary channels at the port so far. Reporting in the studio, I'm Yamarisa Say. Back to you.
Yamari, thank you. Also happening today, Metro is previewing the upcoming summer construction on the Red Line. They will close stations between Glenmont and Fort Totten to do the maintenance work. MDOT also building a Purple Line mezzanine. Now at the Silver Spring Metro, and Metro says that they're partnering with MDOT and Montgomery County Transit to provide shuttle buses for the closed stations. Metro will provide more information on their plans for the Red Line summer work sometime later this afternoon. Well, the Capitals back in action today, chasing another Stanley Cup title, and they're looking to even their first round series with the New York Rangers. The Caps fell behind in their series after losing the opener 4-1 on Sunday. After today's game, the series shifts back to the district for 2 games at Capital One Arena. Those games are scheduled for Friday and Sunday. The puck hits the ice tonight at 7 p.m.